A triple strike is a way to start this off, I guess, but unfortunately we're going to be switching over to carrier gameplay with the Graf Zeppelin, and that is being played by Leviathan57. Pretty sure this is the EU server or something, I don't know. I wish I had something positive over the next minute, 2 minutes, whatever to say. I don't. This does not belong in the game. I disagreed with AP bombs to begin with. I don't think any ship should have them because they're ludicrous. And that's just whatever. Oh my god. Whoever is thinking that implementing something like this is a good idea, it's not just one person, it's a group of people, and to me that's really problematic because you have what the only reason I can see that this would be in the game in its current state is because they're trying to troll the player base. You know, this is a big middle finger to everybody because this has got to be the easiest goddamn ship to play. I could buy it and I can do this exact crap because the target reticle from these bombers is so small you can't possibly miss, and it's just RNG, of course, whether or not you actually hit with the bombs, but when it's that small, you're going to hit with the bombs. Okay, so, and by the way, it's not just German ships, and I've seen the Roma get one shot from, you know, one of these guys as well, one of these bomber squadrons, and, well, not just a single one, sorry, a wave. There's no way this is good for the game, and it's not just that either. And by the way, the torpedo squadrons, they're no joke either. They're actually pretty damn good from what I've seen, the rare cases of somebody actually using the torpedo bombers, but the secondaries on this, oh my god, they're ridiculous, and I'm going to show you that here in the following clip. But the Richelieu here takes about 22,000 damage from that salvo. But I can't help but feel that this is something that they don't know what to do with, but they've spent too much time doing it, so they're just going to release it anyways, and, you know, have it like, they should just fucking remove this thing from the game, is basically my point. It doesn't do anything good for anybody other than the people who are playing it who want to be assholes. Because I can't imagine any other legitimate reason to play this ship. And stupid mouse thing. And if that's not bad enough, how about a manual secondary, full secondary build Graf Zeppelin? Yeah. Yeah. Still think that's good for the game? Fuck no, it isn't. Just ridiculous. And I know people will say, but, you know, carry, blah, blah, blah. You know, the same old arguments I always see when it comes to the Graf Zeppelin of, well, you know, you just have to stay at 10 kilometers. You just have to, you know, stick with your team. It doesn't really matter, because once that enemy carrier is gone, which is always going to be the priority of a Graf Zeppelin, the game is over. And I've seen it multiple times. Once the enemy carrier is gone, or your team's carrier is gone, or whatever the case is, the opposing carrier gets taken out, the Graf Zeppelin wins the game. I haven't seen anything to the contrary. It's been very, very consistent with that. And I've been on the receiving end of it, what, 3 times now? Once my carrier's gone, boom, game over. Can't stop that, those bombs from coming in and just wrecking the shit out of everything. It's just, I don't see why anybody would bother putting that in the game. And, you know, you have another shitty premium that they released, the Asashio, which just completely disrupts the way people play because they go along the border of the map, you know, in a tier 10 match, launching torps and, you know, hitting teammates and stuff. I've already seen way too many team kills from that, both in games and also obviously on YouTube and other streamers and things like that. And I just don't think they know what the hell they're doing right now. So, moving on though. we have the Citadel machine known as the Nicholas. By the way, some of you guys may not know this, but the A-hull on the Nicholas has like really high shell velocity. It's like 965 meters a second or something like that. It's over 900 meters a second. It's amazing. But it has half the shell pen or thereabouts of the upgraded hull, which has 111 millimeters of AP shell pen out to 5 kilometers, 49 at 10 kilometers, I think that's what it is. And that's exactly the same all the way throughout the rest of the US destroyer line to the gearing, through the gearing actually. It has the same exact AP values, so it's worth noting because it's actually pretty interesting. You get essentially tier 10 AP shell pen because, I mean, shit, 111 millimeters is better than the Shimakaze can do, which is actually pretty impressive for, you know, a tier 5 ship. But then again, the Wix has a longer duration smoke than the, actually, hell, I think even the Samson does, than the Shimakaze. But anyways, this match, I've got 21 Citadels, I'm happy with that, but we've pretty much thrown this match away. You know, people just sitting way too far out in the edge of the map, and we just got a shitload of reset points there on that cap, but we did get a huge hit there, and right down to less than 40 health, so that's a huge AR boost, which admittedly I do think AR is, I don't think it should be in the game necessarily. I think it's way too powerful for a 2-point skill, especially for destroyers, you know, cruisers that have an emphasis on torpedoes, and their main guns aren't nearly as affected as the torpedoes are, but like on the Moskva, I sure as hell wouldn't run Adrenaline Rush. It just, there's no real benefit to it. Not compared to something like a Hindenburg or a Minotaur that has such a heavy emphasis on the torpedoes. So, you know, you look at battleships though, and I think that's the place where Adrenaline Rush is really overdone, because it brings the battleship reload time that much closer to cruisers, and I think that really just kind of screws things up a bit. I don't know. If anything, that would be a more interesting thing to do as a consumable, like a unique consumable for a nation, as opposed to a skill that anybody can get. But I really think a lot of things need an overhaul at this point, and I'm guessing that we're not terribly far off from having another rework of the captain skills as they are, which I'm honestly, if they do that again, I'm dreading it, because I've got like 200 captains. That's a lot of work, and trying to figure out which ones go where and what skills he's gonna have, but frustrating. But I remember when they did that last time, and I'm just realizing I'm really close to an island. I'm not going to be able to turn out without exposing my broadside potentially to a full salvo from the Montana, so I'm deciding to commit. I think I had 80 something ships the last time that they did that, when they changed up the captain skills and gave you such and such amount of time to redo all of them. That took a few days. That was some work, but having more than double that is frightening to me. Anyways, moving on to the Henry. This is a pretty damn awesome ship. It doesn't, I mean, it plays somewhat similar to some of the others, but at the same time, it's hard because it's not necessarily a carry ship. It's very much focused around just inflicting damage. It's kind of like the Conqueror of cruisers, because, you know, a lot of it tends to be HE damage, and HE damage, despite what people want to try to make you believe, is not terribly useful, as it doesn't win you games. Damage won't win you a game. It never does. But, you know, if you can, unless you can pile it on in a short period of time and take a ship out. If you're just dragging it on throughout a whole match, it's not doing you any good. But I do run IFHE on this ship to give it 51 millimeters of shell pen. Yay, twins! And what that means is that 45 millimeter deck armor is defeated by the HE shell, and that is really important because that means consistency. And when the guy goes, those were my hands. I had them together and pulled them apart, so if it sounded like a fart in there, I'm so sorry. But so the AP though is fucking awesome up close. And we pretty much soloed a Montana there. Let's try our luck against the Yamato, shall we? But essentially it provides, IFHE on the 240mm provides more consistent damage against the battleships, and that is something that really helps because I like to play aggressive, and if I can soften up a Yamato or a Kerr first and then move in, and yes, this can Citadel a Kerr first, pretty much any ship can, you just have to be at a very particular angle and a very particular range to be able to make that angle work. So basically you can shoot underneath the A turret or the D turret from a given angle from the front or rear. There's just this little spot on either side of the ship, front and rear, that you can basically surpass the armor and stuff. It's pretty damn awesome. I've done it with the Moskva a few times in the space battles. That was pretty fun. That shocked the hell out of a few people. Getting 6 Citadels on the Kerr first at point blank range. That was pretty nice. But anyways, I tend to like to use these types of scenarios, which this is one of the very, very rare cases of pretty much as one-on-one as you can get in a live game, and especially with so many players still alive. I like to try to use these opportunities to test out some stuff. I'm not afraid of dying or whatever. I just want to, kind of play around with some different stuff and just see if it's going to work. It's not being arrogant or anything like that. I'm really curious to see how, at a given angle, if this is going to work in a live game, because the training room is useful, but at the same time, you don't have the same stuff involved as far as, the dispersion debuffs from camo or the concealment module. You don't have, the heal's not a factor against a bot or that sort of thing. Yeah, you can take another player in there, but you gotta find another player who wants to bother with that. I guess I'm not terribly surprised that didn't really pen at all. Got some bounces there, and at some point here I'm just gonna eat shit. You know it's coming. But I'm really surprised it didn't happen more. However, I was very surprised I didn't get Citadels there, so kind of annoyed at this point, but we're at that critical range. He's completely unable to keep up with his turrets. We get 4 Citadels there, and just double check in case I don't kill him there. Just curious with my torps, but pretty much, again, 1v1'd a Yamato with the Henry, so that was good. Now, switching over to the Des Moines. This happened just a few days ago on stream, and I thought this was hilarious. This poor bastard. Sometimes you get to this spot in mountain range, and you're like, yeah, it'd be nice if I was able to just shoot through here and get something done. I'm aiming a little too low, otherwise I definitely would have been able to get a hell of a lot more damage there. Other than just a pair of shell pens and 3 Citadels. Maybe would have gotten 4, 5, 6 Citadels. I don't know, but I can speculate, obviously. But the poor guy, I don't think he has last stand, which I definitely suggest for the Royal Navy cruiser line. You don't want to get caught with your pants down if you get Citadeled by, say, a destroyer and you lose your engine. That really, really sucks, and basically any destroyer can Citadel you. I've seen Grozhevoys, who, by the way, have the highest shell pen of any destroyer in the game. I think it's 150mm at 5 kilometers, which is amazing. That's almost 20mm higher than the cab. That thing is dangerous as shit. That is a really dangerous ship to face when you're in basically any cruiser. So, to be honest, I'm kind of looking forward to picking that up eventually, because I imagine I'm gonna have some pretty fun little situations pop up when I'm just farming Citadels on tier 10 cruisers, or obviously less. But that's just something worth noting, that just because you're a cruiser going up against one of those destroyers, you gotta anticipate that they're gonna switch to AP and they're just gonna wreck the shit out of you. I've seen depth strikes from those guys, Z52 and a Grozhevoy against the Minotaur, and this is just delicious here. I love getting the side of a Hindenburg when I'm in the Des Moines. Nice heavy shells, 16 Citadels total, and then I YOLO'd myself into a Yamato and died. That was pretty harsh. So Here's a clip that I recorded January 15th. This was a while ago, so we've got some interesting stuff going on here. Mainly the fact that I'm this far south for a reason. There's the battleship that's just behind me. He's AFK, and I do not want the enemy team to move in, get him on fire, and have that possibly be the reason why we lose. You know, a lot of people have AFKs in their matches, whether it's purposeful or what typically happens is, you know, for a free-to-play game, you're going to have a whole shitload of different, you know, computer setups, way more than you would just your regular, you know, store-bought, Steam-bought game, whatever the case is. Did not expect that dev strike, not at all. But I just think that it covers a wider range, I think, of enthusiasts, and because of that, you tend to have a lot more instability. Ever since I started playing this game, I've seen AFKs like fucking crazy, and it's been pretty damn consistent, you know, throughout the 3 years of playing this. So that's kind of interesting now to think about it. But anyways, yeah, just trying to push out a bit. The last thing I want is this Tirpitz to get too close to the guy and start hitting him with the secondaries, light him on fire, blah blah blah. But unfortunately for me, there's a carcass of a dying ship there, and I think that kind of blocks some of the shells, because, I mean, we did good damage, but we should have done more. Although, admittedly, I don't think he was at the greatest angle there, not exactly broadside. Now would have been a better time to shoot at him, for instance, but unfortunately I lose my teammate there, which, whoops. I didn't mean to have that happen, but I'm just ignoring the Tirpitz now because there's a Minotaur coming, and he's spotted, and the last thing I want to have happen here is that guy survive any longer than he should. Also, rear turret, best turret, we're going to take a chance here against the Tago again. Got a dev strike against the Minotaur, and check this dispersion out. Booyah. Beautiful. Damn right, Mr. Announcer Man. Now let's go over to the little ship that couldn't, as far as most people are concerned, the Eddy. This is very much a side grade at best. I mean, that is a bit generous. The two main benefits that this has over the Fiji, actually the only real benefits this has over the Fiji, is that it goes from 13mm bow armor to 16, and that's actually really important because the only cruiser in the game that can overmatch 16mm with AP is the Henry. Every, let's see, 203mm can overmatch 13mm, so it's just important to, you know, note that. So anyways, the other one is that it gets an additional upgrade slot, and that may not sound like a lot, but son, I'm all about that double rudder shift life, and you're gonna see why here in a sec. So it's just me and Atlanta. Jeez, that's hard to say. We're YOLOing up here apparently, and I'm pretty much screwed. I kind of panic smoke, and I'm like, ah, shit, alright. Well, the Atago goes ahead and drops one set of torps, and I launch my only set of torps, and I'm like, okay, I got a triple salvo, and he's not turning. Well, how about that? Gotta get those torps off, right, guys? I throw these torps out here just in case anybody tries to move south and flank me from there, so just something to try to dissuade anybody from doing so. And this torp is kind of scaring the hell out of me. I'm not even focusing on the York right now and just barely get through that. So we're on fire, we're taking heavy damage. The York HE has, I think it's 52mm of HE shell pen, so he is more than capable of killing me just through the front here, just by sticking exactly where he is and just messing me up HE salvo after HE salvo. Ugh. And I use my heal first before my repair, just in the event that I need the repair, because again, it's just, I don't want to be caught without my engine or whatever the hell is going on. Anyways, York is not switching to AP, it seems like, so I'm just gonna go ahead and risk going broadside here, dumping torps against him. The Moss went ahead and dumped his torps, or one set of them, and now we get to see where he is. So let's focus on him and just hope, okay, we're good. So he sends out another wave of torps, and we turned in just enough to prevent ourselves from getting Citadel shit by him. And a lot of those shells went into the water. So that was disappointing. We should have been able to get a depth strike there, but consolation prize, I'll take a CQE in an eddy. Okay. I didn't expect that at all. So now it's time to face against the Turpits, because I wasn't really going to be able to get away, and I kind of didn't really want to, so I wanted to see this fight to the end, because this was the last ship on this entire portion of the map. So looks like our torps are going true. Oh yeah, nice. Got around 35,000 damage right there, so that feels pretty good. But now we kind of get into a shitty spot here, because this is where the short fuse AP from the Royal Navy cruisers is really weak, is against a bow-forward battleship, especially battleship. So aim a little too far back there, kind of adjust it there. We get some decent damage given the angle, and now he's coming back in, and I do not adjust my aim nearly as much as I should. He's got his torps in the water, and Royal Navy cruisers don't lose speed nearly as much as other cruisers do. They keep it up quite a bit, and otherwise we probably wouldn't have been able to make that maneuver, which was pretty sweet. Mainly because the first turn would have bled off enough speed that we definitely would have taken the torp, so that was pretty badass. And now it's just a matter of whether or not we get the kill before he kills us. So that worked out pretty well. So, get the right ship in the right situation, it's going to be a good ship, even if it's a bad ship, just saying. But thanks for watching today, guys. Hope you have a good one. Got a lot more coming up over the next few days, as I'm going to be out of town, so I'm just working on getting a bunch of videos put together. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.